86 Charles is brought to you by Amazon. Go to 86charles.com and click on the Amazon link. Amazon is the perfect place to start prepping for the end, now that the Donald is president. The apocalypse is nigh.
That's when it just clicked in my mind that if you just run through somebody's face, a lot of people ain't gonna be able to take that over and 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 over again. They just not gonna want that.
Think there's a deeper metaphor there?
Run through a motherfucker face, then you don't have to worry about them no more.
You are full of bullshit, my friend. I will sue you for everything you have. I will sue your ass.
Welcome to 86 Charles, with your hosts John Darby and Travis Spencer.
And with that, welcome to 86 Charles, first episode of 2017. Travis Spencer, welcome back.
John, that didn't sound like your voice. Was that your voice?
Yeah.
That didn't sound like it. Sounded like Marshawn Lynch. I thought you did the...
Oh, you mean the intro?
Yeah.
No, of course that wasn't me.
Oh, I thought you were saying that was your
Beast
voice.
mode.
So full-on beast mode. Is that... You know that 2017 is the year of the rooster, not the year of the beast.
Yeah, but who's got a bigger rooster than Marshawn Lynch? You know what I mean?
Actually, I don't. How big is it?
Well, I don't know. I would imagine it's rather large.
No,
He runs through faces, after all.
you haven't seen it? You don't know?
Well, he's got chickens in Oakland, doesn't he? Pretty sure I've seen pictures of that.
He's got chickens on his property?
I think so, yeah.
Nice connection. I'll give you that. All right, so where does this come from? Is this is how you're taking on 2017? Are you getting into football?
Well, I mean,
you're gonna run people
yeah,
through their
I guess
face?
in my fantasies, sure. No, I'll tell you, so I've seen this clip before, but I saw it again recently, and what I love about it is the guy who says, "Was there a deeper metaphor there?" Because there is. Like you could run through the faces of problems. There's a deeper metaphor there, but nah. He goes straight beast mode and says, "Run through a face." So I like it because it works on a lot of levels, and it's a good and yeah, it's our first show of the new year. It's a nice little we'll go with mantra.
Running through faces. No, I love
Run through faces, man, over and over and over, and over and over and over.
such a great quote. Like we missed Marshawn Lynch from the league this year. You know, we need him.
For sure.
We need him. And I don't like the Seahawks, but I like that. I like Richard Sherman's attitude, and I like Marshawn Lynch's attitude. I like that it breeds that organization, or maybe just the individuals they had. You know, had this
I like
swagger.
the culture that exists in Seattle. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah,
But they're in the division that has the team that I root for, so they can fly straight to hell.
yeah. But then again, it's like Carson Palmer went to USC. I don't really care about him. You know, Carson Palmer.
I mean, okay.
He's not like Jake Plummer that went to Arizona State University. He went to USC. Blech. Him and
You could have left it right there. He's
Pete
not like
Carroll. They go way. They're all bed buddies in this. You know, we're just the outside poor guys trying to buy tickets to go to the games.
But we have a whole other show for that.
Well, you know what?
Part of our
I was
2017,
gonna say
man.
you know how to get through that fear that I just put out there. You got to run through their
Run
faces.
through his face.
Run through their faces. I did just watch the video of Marshawn Lynch literally running through faces, and it's inspiring, man. It's inspiring. It makes you want to go
I
out
think we all
and buy a
think
V6.
we all need to take a beast mode approach.
makes
2017.
makes you want to buy a Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk V6 4x4 and just start taking in the mud, man. Things are different in 2017. You're right.
Even you can speak beast mode. You know what I'm talking about.
Dude, I've been beast mode my whole
Got yourself
life.
a Trailhawk?
You know, everybody knows I've been beast mode my whole life. Like, I might have
Please.
hidden it a few places here and there. You know, you got to move to L.A. and be and hide in with the people so they don't think you're so beast mode, but they know you're beast mode.
And see, that's how I know that you're not. Because when you truly are beast mode, it can't be hidden, my friend.
You can
No
hide.
matter where you are.
You can hide in plain sight. That's what I'm talking about. Hiding in plain sight. I can't change myself. Always be beast mode. But, you know, I can
I think
assimilate.
you need to start doing this show from your Trailhawk, and then you'll understand.
I won't lie, John. I thought about it. I've got
We could go like, we could load this up in the back of it and go like pump up the volume. Take the show mobile, drive around, broadcast.
Yeah. I'm
Think about it.
I'm with it. It's got a satellite radio. We could somehow hack that, and we'll just put it right on satellite. It'll be right on
just
Sirius
saying,
XM. That's how it works, right?
Everything's beast mode in 2017.
Beast mode starting on the 19th with the inauguration of the beast mode president. Are you excited?
Isn't it the 20th? I thought Friday was the 20th.
Hey, look, pretty sure I'm right, and you're right. 20th is. What I meant was this was going to be posted on the 19th, and the 20th is the inauguration. So, but are you excited?
Well, I'm just saying that's not what you said, though.
We've already talked about this a little bit, but like it's kind of strange that the reality is hitting us now. Like it's actually happening, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, again, I'm used to it at this point. To be honest with you, I just I just feel like I'm gonna be overwhelmed with the smugness of it all. Where it's like, well, now it's official.
Right.
It's like, yeah, you already got to gloat, and now you get to really. It's like the trophy ceremony now.
Like it has the Twitter has to stop, right? Like that's all that I care. Get inaugurated. Get the off Twitter. I don't want to see any more tweets from our president. Let the staff, let some intern, let somebody else do it. And I'm sure it's been doing that all along, but the tone, the rhetoric, like that has to. I'm done with it. It has to stop, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, but the fact that we have to talk about the president's Twitter account as
That's what
the
I'm saying.
top priority, it's man, it's already off to a bad start.
Let's go beast mode, John. I think I might just be. I drink a lot as it is, but I think 2017 might be beast mode drinking time. Just try to block it all out.
You could drink. See, you could invent a beer and call it yeast mode.
No, that's not a good idea.
Sorry, sometimes it's I didn't say I was gonna get funnier this year.
You say that, and I only think of yeast infections. So yeah,
Oh,
which I didn't know. You know that
Wow.
that men can get yeast infections too.
well, of course.
I recently learned that.
You recently learned that?
Well, I
You
guess
never have
I've never really thought about it.
sex ed or anything?
I've never had a yeast infection. Sorry,
No, I've never had one.
John. It's okay.
But I'm aware that it's a thing that can be given to me.
This is your time. You can let us know. How was your yeast infection?
No, I'd tell you if I had it, but no, it's never occurred. I don't even. No. Why are we talking about it?
You're the one who started it. Yeast.
I was trying to make a beer joke, and you took it to a whole other thing.
Well, I was telling you why that your beer will never sell, because that's the first thing that when you say yeast, I think of infections. Yeast, infections, yeast, infections.
But if you were holding a beer with Marshawn Lynch on it called Yeast Mode, you would still think the same thing? I feel like that's a you problem.
It's one of
not
those
a marketing
words.
issue.
It's one of those words. It's probably my perversion. I'm so perverted.
I mean,
Think of yeast infections. It's not even perverted. That's just.
yeah. See, that's. I think in context, I can separate yeast from infection. They don't have to be synonymous, especially when discussing beer and or bread,
Well, then why not go bread mode? You know?
because that doesn't sound as good.
Oh. Yeah,
It's
because
not as-
like I just proved to you, yeast yeast
no,
mode
but
sounds
you proved that
horrible.
to me. Like you represent the common man.
I am every man, John. I am every man.
Trust me. If I took this to the intelligent people of Seattle, they would love it.
All
A
right.
craft beer drinker would not be dying inside. He would get it. He would appreciate it.
Hey, don't go all yeast mode on me, bro. Let's end this.
Are you a beast? Are you released? You ready to feast or do you want peace? Not the least. Do you think you number one? Can you keep it 100? 0 to 100. Show me how much you want it.
What in the is 86 Chuck?
I'm gonna get me a good piece of fish.
Right.
I'm gonna get me a good piece of fish.
Right. Hello, nature. I'm not afraid of you like John Derby.
It's not that he's big and burly, it's that he's weird and squirrely.
I'm a motherfucking wolf.
You don't drop a $1.85 on a fool and don't walk home with a bucket of chicken, you know what I mean?
This is crazy. You gotta hunt the damn lions.
Another blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah.
Did we finally make him lose his mind? Up in here? Up in here?
Jake Plummer's not coming through that door, John Derby.
Toyota thinks I'm a pretty damn big deal.
Yeah, you can't punk a Buddhist monk. Aliens.
Coming in.
Moving on.
Nickel.
Nickel what? 5 topics currently trending. Travis.
That was an exciting intro, John. Is that going to continue for 2017?
It's New Year. I'm just going big. At least for this episode. We'll see.
You are really bringing it tonight. You're in full on yeast mode, bro.
I need you to leave that at the intro.
John, are you afraid of wolves?
No, I am one.
Well, that's bullshit. But let's move on. French people have been told not to fear wolves roaming Paris streets as they, quote, only eat 4-legged animals. Parisians are frightened that the endangered beasts, which have fought back from the near extinction in the 30s, are now within howling distance of the capital. Indeed, the discovery of paw prints, messy droppings, and late-night howls from wolves are reported to be now frequent occurrence in the city's suburbs. They are known to normally hunt in packs when they are notoriously most dangerous. Only lone wolves have been spotted so far wandering the streets. Experts and eyewitnesses claim they are freely roaming French departments and French words, which overlaps with the Paris metropolitan area in the south and west at night. Warnings were first made last year when a lone wolf was spotted prowling just 200 miles from Paris. An expert was quick to point out that they can cover 300 miles a day on foot. The local newspaper there reports that the president of the wolf-watching group Alliance avec les Coups, Manuel Atman, that was pretty good French, right? Said, we are certain that there are 3 in circulation since April of last year, 1 couple and another lone wolf. Attempting to reassure the Parisians, the wolf watcher was keen to stress, these kinds of animals aren't interested in eating people. We walk on 2 legs. They only eat 4-legged animals. John, this is nonsense. Parisians should be in complete shock and fear, and they should walk around everywhere with shotguns because a wolf will fucking eat you. It's stupid to say that they won't.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think you should live in fear of wolves, per se. But, yeah, if you've got wolves in your area, they might eat you. Yeah.
Especially...
Don't tell me to not be afraid of a wolf eating me if there's a wolf.
Children or
wolf might
babies or any kind of small person, like, you are in danger of being eaten by a wolf. They are monsters. They are monsters. And if you see one, I can guarantee you there are more around. They're just fucking smart and elusive. This blows my mind.
Guarantee. There is such a thing as the lone wolf.
John, you've only heard lone wolf in media. You've never seen a lone wolf.
I've never seen a wolf.
Have you ever even
Maybe
seen
in a zoo?
Have you seen a coyote?
Yeah.
Okay, close enough. But coyotes, they're not the killers the same way the wolves are.
Yeah, I'd rather fight a coyote than a wolf.
Oh, absolutely. So, but still, you see a coyote, it's an unsettling feeling.
Sure.
I'm not
I still
telling.
don't mess with coyotes. I'm
If
sure
I-
as heck not going to mess with a wolf.
Yeah, if I'm the governor of a city or a town or any kind of, like, how are you telling people to not worry about wolves because they only eat they only eat 4-legged animals, but if they're coming in the cities, that means they're hungry and they're looking for food. And guess what? The hungrier and more desperate they get, and probably the more poison they get from terrible diet they're going to eat in a city, they're going to eat people. John, I can guarantee you one thing
They
in
feel like if
2017.
they don't mess with the wolves won't mess with them.
I can guarantee you one thing in 2017. Wolves are going full beast mode because they've been that their whole life. They have no other choice. Beast mode.
Exactly. What'd I tell you? You can't hide beast mode.
Coming from you, I don't even know if I can trust your quotes anymore.
Well, I get it. You hate when I'm right, but...
Let's move on.
You want to hear about some mice?
Please. More things for wolves to eat.
Do you know how mice use their brain to hunt? The part of the brain that governs emotions, such as fear and anxiety, also helps mice hunt. That structure, the amygdala, orchestrates a mouse's ability to both stalk a cricket and deliver a fatal bite. Scientists made select nerve cells in mice's brains sensitive to light, then used lasers to activate specific groups of those cells. By turning different cells on and off, the researchers found 2 separate sets of nerve cells relaying hunting-related messages from the amygdala's central nucleus. One set controlled the mice's ability to chase their prey, the other affected their ability to deliver a solid chomp and kill a cricket. Quote, "They've found these 2 behaviors that are part of something we think of being very complex are controlled by these 2 circuits," says Chris Neal, a neuroscientist at the University of Oregon in Eugene. You flip a switch to chase, you flip a switch to attack. Ramping both of those circuits up to high power at the same time even led mice to chase and capture a tiny bug-shaped robot that they would normally ignore or avoid. You know why they're doing this, right?
To eventually control our brains?
Ding, 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 ding.
This is terrifying.
Turn us into perfect hunters.
Terrifying, John. We're not, well, they're not, it's not going to turn us into perfect hunters. It's going to turn us into perfect consumers. They're just going to...
Or anything they want us to do.
Right, but what's beneficial for them? Not hunting, not us hunting. That doesn't get them money.
Oh, dude, you're telling me if they send us off to war, they don't want us to be good hunters?
No, because it's all going to be done by robots. You just control a drone now. Like, you don't need... We're going to be obsolete as killers soon. Just joking. That's nonsense. Because we're going to turn it... We're going to turn it as...
I'm sure someday very soon they're going to get sick of sending the poor off to die. I'm sure that's going to happen very soon.
Right. And creating more conflicts to keep us at war and not realize that the 1% of... Yeah. No, it's absolutely terrifying. It's like if...
I'm just saying, it's all part of them making us X-Men, dude.
Right. And like, how are they going to activate
it? It's a lot cheaper to make a human than it is to make a robot.
Like, is it already happening? Like, do they just have to put on like they put on a song and it just puts us in switch mode and we're like, oh, you know what? I need to go buy a car.
They don't even need a song. They'll do it through flashing lights on our stupid phones that we can't take our stupid faces out of.
Oh, it's terrifying. It's terrifying, John. Oh, I think
how much it costs to make a human?
I think I was in beast mode. It's free.
Same cost? No. Well, what does a box of wine cost?
No. What's a bottle of Mickey's? It's like $1.80.
That's how much.
$2.95
to make a human being. Cheaper than a robot.
240s of Mickey's. I think I just got switched out of beast mode into yeast mode. It was your fault. All right, let's move on. I can't talk about this anymore. I'm terrified.
So take us under the sea, man.
John, I'm going to ask you a question. Who needs men?
Answer: nobody.
A female shark separated from her long-term mate has developed the ability to have babies on her own. Leonie, the zebra shark, that's Stegostomata fasciatum for those of you keeping score at home, met her male partner at an aquarium in Townsville, Australia in 1999. They had more than 24 offspring together before she was moved to another tank in 2012. From then on, Leonie did not have any male contact, but in early 2016 she had 3 baby sharks. Intrigued, scientist Christine Dudgeon at the University of Queensland in Brisbane and her colleagues began fishing for answers. One possibility was that Leonie had been storing sperm from her ex and using it to fertilize her egg. But genetic testing showed that the babies only carried DNA from their mum, indicating they had conceived via sexual reproduction. Some vertebrate species have the ability to reproduce asexually even though they normally reproduce sexually. These include sharks, turkeys, Komodo dragons, snakes, and rays. So It's happened before with sharks, obviously, but it is pretty bizarre when it just changes in this species who they've never seen it before with this individual, right? How does that happen?
I always I have to quote Dr. Jeff Goldblum. Nature finds a way.
That's not his name. What's his name in What's his name in Jurassic Park?
I don't know. I'm sure Doctor something.
Oh, good one. Good one.
But I mean, yes, evolution is always fascinating, but it doesn't shock me when something like this happens. I'm honestly more surprised that human women haven't figured out a way to deal less with men.
Oh, well, they definitely
They haven't found a way to, grow a penis out of their elbow and be like, we're done with you guys.
Well, it's definitely already happened. It's just it doesn't happen without scientific and intrusion. Not intrusion. That's not the right word. But without a doctor and without impregnating through test tubes and yada yada yada. This is the very scientific portion of this podcast where I explain how women impregnate themselves with
Dr. Spencer.
Yeah, artificial insemination, stuff like that. But yeah, we're already Dr. Ian Malcolm. You're welcome, Dr. Ian Malcolm.
Thank you.
It blows my mind. At least it still feels natural. It's not like scientists playing with little genes. It happened relatively untouched. I'm okay with that. I'm okay.
But you have to, and again, you have to imagine anytime they discover something like this, it probably lends itself to, okay, well, how can female women self-reproduce? I'm sure that's a thought in somebody's mind.
How
once they see how nature does it, I'm sure the next step is to figure out how can we duplicate that.
You're right. How can super soldiers reproduce in the world? That's what we want to know. Like, how can you're in a bunker
with a flashing light,
you're about to get shot down, so you're just like boop, 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 pop out like 15 more super soldiers,
turn them into super inseminators.
Oh man, we're gonna have to record this. Hold on, let me write down this next screenplay: super soldiers self-inseminating blows up. Okay, good, got it. Let's move on.
Yeah. Instead of taking like a cyanide capsule, you just impregnate yourself.
Pop out 15 more of yourself, and then they just come out fighting. Like
I need backup.
What was that?
Ugh.
What was the movie with the little soldiers? It was awesome. What was that movie? Little tiny toy soldiers. Oh, what? You don't know what I'm talking about?
Was it like they were like little? They were kind of like toys, right?
Yeah. What was that movie?
I never actually saw the movie. I know which one you're talking about. I cannot remember the name of it though.
It's coming up. Hold on. Small soldiers.
It's not toy
soldiers.
soldiers.
It was just small soldiers. Brilliant.
Small soldiers. There you go.
Yeah. What if they just pop out of you, like, and then they grow, like, takes them like a week to grow to full size, but 10 of them pop out of you. Oh man, I'm all excited now. I'm back to beast mode. Let's move on.
Oh, thank God. Do you like to paint, Travis?
Yeah, I've been known to dabble in a little paint here and there.
How would you feel if you were banned from using a specific color?
That's not cool.
So this artist is the only person banned from using the world's pinkest pink. It's a brightly colored revenge for restricting the world's blackest black. Anish Kapoor has long been known for his large-scale, intensely colored artworks, but his penchant for being proprietary has long irked others in the art world. Earlier this year, Kapoor, when I say earlier this year, I mean 16, so last year, Kapoor sparked outrage from artists all over the world with the announcement that he had made a deal to become the only person in the world allowed to use the blackest pigment of black paint ever developed. Known as Vantablack, the unique carbon nanotube-based pigment is produced solely by a British company called Nanosystem and was originally developed for military technologies. However, Kapoor made an agreement with the company that he is the only person allowed to use it for artistic purposes. Needless to say, that made plenty of other artists furious. This is a quote. When I first heard that Anish had the exclusive rights to the blackest black, I was really disappointed. That's artist Stuart Semple. I was desperate to have a play with it in my own work, and I knew lots of other artists who wanted to use it too. It just seemed really mean-spirited and against the spirit of generosity that most artists who make and share their work are driven by. Like Kapoor, Simple's work often uses vivid shades of color, and for years he had worked with scientists to develop increasingly intense pigments to use in his artwork. So as a response to Kapoor's exclusive deal with Vantablack, Simple decided to release his own special pigment known simply as pink. While pink isn't based on nanotechnology like Vantablack, Simple says it is the pinkest pink pigment ever created. Now in an effort to thumb his nose at Kapoor, Simple is making it for sale to everyone in the world except Kapoor. Before purchasing the powdered pigment, buyers have to agree to a legal disclaimer that states they have no intention of letting it fall into Kapoor's hands. But the ban will be lifted if he agrees to allow others to use Vantablack. So there you go. Art war.
Could you imagine living in a world where like this is like the biggest story?
Oh, I'm sure. Are you kidding? There's probably people that freaked out when they heard about both of these things.
Well, I'm not even talking about the people like the critic. I'm talking about the actual artists who it's like they're real.
Yeah.
Like that's great. I want to be in that world where I'm like balling. I'm sure that Anish Kapoor is balling out of control. I don't know about the other guy. This dude's art looks pretty incredible, I gotta say. The Anish Kapoor guy. I don't know about the other guy.
Well, it better. He's kind of a jerk, so he better be good at what he does.
Right. It's one of those mind-blowing things. Like, you're talking about a tone of color that you're allowed to use or you're not allowed to use.
Well, I like what you said, where it's like there is a whole community where this stuff's a big deal. This is like a rap beef.
Yeah, totally. It's Kanye
in the art world.
Yeah.
Oh, you took my Vantablack, homie? I'm taking pink as pink, dog.
But, I mean, everybody knows that pink is pink. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, disagree.
It's great.
Self-report. I'm a big fan of the shade of pink, and that's what attracted me to this whole article. When it said pink is pink, I said I got to know what that is.
No, but the guy who made the pink is pink didn't like bring in like the top scientists in the world to make it the purest pink of pink. Like there's nothing but the blackest black is like the dopest black that was ever made in the history of the world. Because this dude's balling out of control and he's got like tons of money to throw at it.
Do you think you could tell the difference between
hell no,
the blackest
I can't.
black and
No,
like
hell
the fourth
no.
blackest black?
I have no idea at all.
I don't think you could.
It's stupid.
I feel like the pink is pink stands out.
It's asinine. They can't even tell the difference. You know?
I disagree.
Somebody
can.
No, you know who can tell the difference? Like a computer. That's it. That's it. These guys can't tell the difference.
saying.
This Anish Kapoor dude, he's like 56 or something like that. He's losing his fucking sight. He's been drinking himself mad and doing cocaine and blow and heroin. There's no way you have this kind of visionary art without mad amounts of drugs and crazy shit in your brain. There's no way he knows the difference between the blacks. He doesn't even care though. He's got the contract.
I forgot what an artist you are that you can speak on behalf.
I know.
If anyone's going to know the difference in tone and shade and things like that, it's going to be these guys.
Dude, I am drinking tonight I've had a Coors Light and a Guinness. Let me tell you, there is so much difference between those colors.
Right.
See, I know. I get it.
Oh, man. All right. Well, let's move on.
All right, on that. Nothing like summing up a terrible argument.
Old Shade Master over there has spoken.
Yeast mode. John, we got big news.
Weirdo.
President Obama on Tuesday commuted all but 4 months of the remaining prison sentence of Chelsea Manning, the Army intelligence analyst convicted of a 2010 leak that revealed American military and diplomatic activities across the world, disrupted Mr. Obama's administration and brought global prominence to WikiLeaks, the recipient of those disclosures. The decision by Mr. Obama rescued Mrs. Manning, who twice tried to kill herself, from an uncertain future as a transgendered woman incarcerated in the men's military prison at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. She's been jailed for nearly 7 years, and her 35-year sentence was by far the longest punishment ever imposed in the United States for a leak conviction. At the same time that Mr. Obama commuted the sentence of Mrs. Manning, a low-ranking enlisted soldier at the time of her leaks, he also pardoned General James E. Cartwright, the former vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who pleaded guilty to lying about his conversation with reporters to FBI agents investigating a leak of classified information about cyber attacks on Iran's nuclear program. Not in this article is also that he did not commute the sentence or give a pardon to one Edward Snowden. John, what is the difference between what Chelsea Manning did and what Edward Snowden did? If they were both whistleblowers, Chelsea Manning was in the military, as Bradley Manning at the time. Edward Snowden was a NSA not a consultant. He was a contractor, right?
He was a contractor. Well, do you want to know what the administration said?
Let's hear the official answer, and then I'll give you the real answer.
The administration has contrasted her case with that of Edward Snowden, the National Security Agency contractor who leaked classified documents in 2013 and then fled the country, pointing out that Manning did not try to avoid facing the U.S. justice system for her crimes. Quote, Chelsea Manning is somebody who accepted responsibility for the crimes she committed, a senior White House official said, speaking on the condition of anonymity under ground rules set by the White House. She expressed remorse for committing those crimes. She began serving the sentence that was handed down. The president's concern was rooted in the fact that the sentence handed down is longer than sentences given to other individuals who committed comparable crimes. So there you go. That is their story.
It's very bizarre. I mean, it makes sense in the sense that Chelsea Manning went to military prison and did her time right, where Edward Snowden fled and looked for asylum from other entities, countries, right?
True.
But it's just, it's too political. It's too weird. They're like 35 years. How do they just wipes away a 35-year sentence like it was nothing? 35 years? Why are you even throwing the book at somebody?
Technically a 28-year sentence.
Because she'd serve 7, but still, like 28.
But now, and I wish it said in the article, but what if you were to find out typically someone gets 10 years for that crime and she got 35? Would you not feel like that's out of whack? And
Right.
so for him, cutting 28 years off of that actually makes sense.
Okay, but the whole thing with why are you throwing the book at whistleblowers during this time in the first place? Like, what was the agenda then, and what is the agenda now? And is it like you broke this person so much that they were in solitary confinement in prison? Like,
But
now
if you get into that argument, no one will ever be let out. If you go back into, well, why did this even happen in the first place? Like, okay, fix it. Fix it now.
Correct.
And then we can go back and argue about how we got here and what should be done next time and what is protocol moving forward. But that shouldn't prevent you from fixing it if it is in fact broken.
Right.
And I personally take the stance of just about any sentence that gets commuted, I'm probably all for it. Because the prison system is so bad and so messed up that basically anybody that can get out of it, I'm probably comfortable with that. There's not, but I don't know. I don't know a number to throw out, but there can't be more than but a handful or a couple handfuls of people that probably should just be in jail forever. I think I think a vast majority are part of a hugely broken system and are doing way more time than is deserved or is even conscionable.
Right, rather than trying to rehabilitate or not cure, but fix anybody's, like there's a lot of mental disorders, there's a lot of drug problems, addiction problems, stuff like that we just put people in jail for.
Even just, having people do years and years for selling weed or even selling coke, it's
absurd. Absolutely,
it's archaic.
absurd.
It's archaic. We need to move on from things like that.
And
so even in this case, where again I don't know enough of the facts, I don't know enough of all of it to sit here and really get on a soapbox about it.
It's way more complex than I'm gonna make it, but to me, it's like,
and it's more complex than they even tell us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like we don't know the whole truth, but Snowden has kind of been in the spotlight and has been doing big interviews all along, and is still kind of like championing like the white knight of saying I'm doing this for the right reasons. I'm intelligent. I've done this and this and this. Where Chelsea Manning did the same thing initially and then got thrown in the slammer. Solitary confinement.
And it's not fair to either to link the two. It's not. You can't say, well, sorry, Chelsea, you don't get out because we're not going to let Snowden out, or vice versa. Just because they're both high profile, similar cases, they shouldn't be linked, and it shouldn't be, well, if one goes, they both go, or
right.
Well, neither goes.
I think in a sense you have to compare them, but you're right. Like you can't say you have to compare them based on.
They're comparable, but they shouldn't be connected. They shouldn't be, it shouldn't be a package deal.
Right. But just to not have, I don't think, to give a pardon from 28 years to 4 months, and then to look at Snowden and like we're still not going to allow you in the country. We're not. You're going to probably be murdered if you walk outside of the embassy. Like, I don't know. Like, that's obviously going a little far. What the U.S. stance was that they take him in custody and question him, and then who knows if he did his fair time, then maybe he would be right. Like, that would be their stance on it.
Or he could be in year 4 of a 40-year sentence. So I don't necessarily blame him for Bolton either. Because when she got slapped with that 35, she didn't know she would serve 7 and have the president step in.
Right. Very bizarre times. I mean, I think it's good. That's a good hope that if you do see things happening in the military that are wrong, that's a good thing, right? Rather than the vision that we saw before was you're going to be locked in solitary confinement and you're going to be treated like this Chelsea Manning was. So this is a good sign, right? Can we take some positivity out of it?
There is some positivity in it, but you talk about gray area. Because, yes, we can't have just anybody who sees something just broadcast it to the world or let WikiLeaks get a hold of it. That's not how that works either. But, yeah, something needs to be said, especially when you see injustice being done. So it's...
Well, and of course...
There needs to be a system in place that is safe for people to be able to report things that they see and not have to go outside of the system.
Right. And what we
so
haven't...
that they're not facing persecution like this.
What I'm dancing around is like how much of this is because it was a transgendered person who might have been tortured and mentally unstable going in, as opposed to somebody who's not necessarily that. It's like that's what I'm dancing around. And how do you approach that?
I think you'd be naive to think that the transgender part of it plays no part, especially on the political side.
Correct.
But I mean, maybe I'm naive, but I think it plays a very small part in it. I think it's an interesting twist to the story, but I don't think it's much more than that. I don't think it's the heart of the story or the main root of the story. I think it's one of those things that happens to be.
Yeah, and it just adds a whole bizarre element.
It definitely adds it, and I hesitate to even say weird or bizarre because I don't want to frame somebody like that. It just adds a different twist to the story. But again, I don't find it to be the meat of the story. But again, I don't think that I think that it played a part politically in them making the decision to grant clemency. Yeah, I think it does.
It's telling you, John, there's
it's still part of the deal. It's part of the story.
There's a liberal agenda going on here that you have to be aware of. Be very cautious of these heavy liberal agendas, John.
Well, there's several agendas. Liberal is just one of them.
All right, I'm back to yeast mode.
God help the beast in me. The beast in me.
Jesse's favorite part of the show.
From last week.
Hello, folks.
The guys were trying to remember which celebrity had a McDonald's in his house, and I'm pretty sure they were thinking of fictional celebrity kid Richie Rich. In my heart, I knew that's who they were talking about, but just to fact check my instinct, I Googled celebrity in-home McDonald's, and nothing came up, so now I'm positive. And that sent me down a celebrity rabbit hole. Was Richie Rich the celebrity who got banned from the New York soup place? No, that was celebrity George Costanza. Or was he the celebrity who framed Roger Rabbit? I don't know if that question was ever even answered. Or was he the celebrity who turned in his acting career in favor of an experimental hip-hop career? No, that was the celebrity version of Joaquin Phoenix, played by the actor Joaquin Phoenix. The point is, I can see how they got confused. Celebrity is a confusing game, and it's easy to get wrapped up in the question, is this life imitating art? Or is this art imitating life? This is Jesse, and asking life's biggest questions in my art was my favorite part of last week's podcast.
Daisy's favorite
It's time for the Facebook World News Update. This Real to Someone news update is brought to you by Somebody's Face and Running Through It. Over and over and over and over. And over and over and over again. A woman in Medford said so she's about to do some medicinal heavy drinking and errands today, laying down a nice base coat of red curry rice and chicken before she leaves to get her walking around rum. Happy New Year. A man in Aurora said his social media presence is basically just him going to a party where people look like they're having more fun than he ever could, and a few of them are talking mess about people or things he likes, so he lets a jar of bees loose and then later feels bad about it and apologizes.
2017 is the year of the rooster. No surprise that Donald Trump was elected for this year. He is a Here are my predictions for the year of the John will get a kitten and his heart will grow 3 sizes. Travis will go romping in the mud and start talking like Christian Bale from Batman.
Storm's coming. Can you drive stick?
Jesse will book a lucrative gig on the private plane of Robert Zava.
What beer may I fetch you, my lord?
Deb will get cast on the next season of Survivor. The Donald will be caught in a scandal that was literally on the TV show Scandal the week before. Chaos will ensue. The media will continue to waste our time. There will be outrage. There will be fear. There will be memes on the internet. Heads will explode. People will die. My consciousness will be put into a body. I will roam the streets looking for answers. The apocalypse is nigh. Good night, and good luck.
A man in Inglewood said he's available for grocery shopping if you need someone to instinctually grab a cart with exactly one broken wheel. A woman in California said that moment when you have absolutely no control over what might happen these next few weeks of your life, but yet one decision might ruin it all. A man in Los Angeles said sometimes he looks in the mirror and thinks he's too good to be true, so he lies his ass off about everything. This Real to Someone news update is brought to you by Somebody's Face and Running Through It. Over and over and over and over. And over and over and over again.
Dad's got notebooks. We don't know what's in her notebooks. She's gonna show us all her notebooks. Little yellow pad.
January 17th, 2017. That's today. This is a callback to one of the first things that I ever recorded for 86 Charles, which was my own work story. I talked about how in January of 2009, I drove back to Washington, D.C., shooting a documentary about a group of black high school kids going to the first Obama inauguration. I was talking about it today at lunch and how totally amazing it was, and my boss said, "Can you believe it's been 8 years? God, time goes by so fast." Which is in stark contrast to what someone said to me the other day about the upcoming 2017 inauguration, which was, Jesus Christ, can you believe it's only been 2 months since the election? It seems like years. But, that's not the only stark contrast. But I'm just going to focus on my story. So anyway, the inauguration of 2009 was on my adoption day, January 20th. And if you know anything about inaugurations, they are always on January 20th. There's some Sunday rules because the actual concept of separation of church and state is hard for some people to grasp, but that's always the day the president becomes the president. Anyway, in 2009, it was freezing cold on the National Mall in front of the White House, but a sparkling blue day full of hope and camaraderie and affection. And no matter what you think about the last 8 years, the ceiling moved on that day, especially for those kids we traveled 2,000 miles with. And all of them, they all know I can be president someday. Well, not the girls, of course. No, sorry, that's smartass. Let me be totally honest. I knew I could be president from the time I was old enough to know what a president was. Why? Because my parents, who adopted me when I was 6 months old, always treated me like I could be. I could do whatever I wanted. My dad, he actually always told me, you should be an engineer. They make a lot of money. I didn't want to be a stupid engineer, but I could have been. And I also will say that periodically when I realize that I know how to write SQL, which is a database query language for those of you who stayed in the arts, I think, damn it, I'm kind of an engineer, like a computer engineer, a developer. Well, mostly I can write requirements and run projects and sometimes do query database stuff. But I get to tell computer engineers what to do every day. And guys, being the one to tell everyone what to do, that is a life well led. Anyway, on that DC trip, I was a producer, but a field producer. So I got to mostly ask questions and not boss people around, which is okay because I'm a good listener. But what was great about the trip, besides the hope and the dream and the kids and all the possibilities, was doing a project with my friends. I've talked about it before. Working with your friends is the best. So there's Dawn and Alex and Rob and Temple. And, we were awake for 2 days, driving 2,000 miles in a stinky white van. Temple got a ticket in Texas. We saw a truck overturned in the snow in Maryland. And we ate at the Waffle House somewhere gross. It might have been Arkansas somewhere. Anyway, we survived. And in Tennessee, we got to go to Graceland and to the Civil Rights Museum, which are only about 10 miles away from each other. Somehow that seems meaningful. I don't know why. And civil rights are really what I'm thinking about this week. So, sorry, Elvis, you're down on the list, but I always looked at the old historical photos and footage of the marches during the so-called civil rights era, and I felt like that was something for the history books. But boy, was that far from the truth. You might note that I felt the same way about all the Anne Frank stuff I talked about a few weeks ago, but I digress. Anyway, I'm hoping that either we're in a new civil rights era, or maybe it's just a 60-year-long era that is hopefully ending very freaking soon. Anyway, I can't make it to Washington this year, but I will be marching with a few thousand of my closest friends here in Los Angeles. And whatever the point is, in my brain up there chilling out, the thought lives on that I can do whatever I want. Be the president, be an engineer, be a writer, anything. And you'll note I'm already 2 of those things. Well, I'm sort of an engineer, remember? We talked about that. Anyway, in 2009, I drove to Washington, D.C. with a bunch of kids who were thinking on that freezing, sparkling morning that they could be whatever they wanted to be. And I don't know what they're thinking this week. I hope they still know that they can do anything. And I hope that they know what I know, which is that we are all better together than we are apart. So I am going to go get my American flag jumpsuit ready. And you have a nice week. Text me.
Let other people in. Listen to your women. Stop killing black children. Make America great again.
I've brought bread
to men, women, and children.
I've brought water with lemon for the table.
I have hot tea.
Can I box that for you?
I'll bring your change.
Okay, here's my work story. You ready?
Okay, yeah.
You recording this?
Yep.
When I was much younger, I had 2 jobs in New York City, part-time jobs. I was in college at Sarah Lawrence College, and I'd come into the city to do my 2 jobs. One was I was a kind of a counselor at an after-school program on the Upper East Side. I was a terrible counselor, and I basically had to watch these kids after school as they played Parcheesi or whatever they did back then, before they had cell phones. And I also was a bartender at a cool little Spanish restaurant in the Village. So one day I went in to work. I had both jobs. I tried to do that, and I'd spend a couple hours with the kids from, say, 4 to 6 or 6:30. At 6:30, my boss says, Jonathan, you won't be needing to come back. Thank you for your work, but we won't need your service. I said, you're firing me? And she's like, well, that's the word you want to use, but thank you. Thank you. So I walked out stunned But, okay, as I said, I really wasn't a great counselor. I was not the most hands-on guy at that point. I go down to my other job like, hey, you won't believe what happened, man. I just got fired from this stupid babysitting job that I was doing. And I did my night's work. And at the end of the night, the guy's like, I'm sorry, but you're fired. And because they had planned on letting me go at the end of the shift. You never let somebody go at the beginning of the shift because then you don't get the work done. So they let me do the shift, knowing that I'd been fired already once that day, and I got fired twice in one day.
Oh.
And I survived. That's my story.
And now you have a movie opening tomorrow.
Yes, and after all that, I got an effing movie opening 2,500 theaters nationwide.
And internationally.
Worldwide. It's opening around the world tomorrow, Friday the 13th.
See, that's the perfect end.
Incredible.
Right?
That's my story.
Well, that's a good story.
Go see The Bye Bye Man. Go see it again.
That was Jonathan Penner. Deb's friend, Deb's acquaintance.
This might be our biggest.
I don't know.
This is like a pretty big celebrity story. This dude's been on everything.
He's he's pretty well known.
We're talking Coneheads. We're talking Seinfeld.
See, that's the
Rude
one for
Awakening.
me. That's the one for me right there, Seinfeld.
Oh yeah, if you're on Seinfeld, you're part God.
Yeah, and I'll recognize you. I don't care what size scene you were in. If you were in it and you tell me, I'll remember it.
Do you remember it was the bookstore episode? He was Zach. Do you remember?
He was. I looked at the little clip on his IMDb, and he's the one that gets hit by the rickshaw. I remember that.
Ah, hit by the rickshaw. Classic.
The first day of the rest of my life. Boom.
Yeah, so I don't
Gets
feel
plowed over by Newman.
I don't feel so bad for Jonathan Penner getting fired. That's a pretty shitty day though. Two jobs in one day.
bad.
It was probably the best
And
thing for him, right?
typically, you're getting fired.
Right.
Typically, you know that you either mess something up or you know that the axe is about to fall. I think this guy got caught off guard twice.
Well, the first one he was
once.
like,
the second one, there's no way he expected that.
right. The first one maybe he's like, I wasn't that good of a counselor. I wasn't that hands on. Okay, so
Right.
if it happened, but
he
the
might have
second
known
one,
his time was coming to an end there.
especially when you go in like and you're like, hey, yeah, I got fired. But those assholes fired
You'd
me.
think they'd at least give you another day.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty gangster by the boss to be like, yeah. Well, while you're down there, here's this. Whoosh! Swift kick.
Well, hey, if you're the boss, you got to. It's like, hey, it's a drag, but I had already planned on this.
You know what I'm interested though? It was a great story, and I actually kind of want to see Bye Bye Man. It's kind of like got a little Slender Man feel. You know, Slender Man's like.
And great job by Deb, by the way.
Well, this is the subtext I want to know. Like, how did Deb's Survivor freak get this interview with the Survivor? Like, is she just stalking survivors all around the? Like, how did this happen? Is she?
That was my thought. Was that he just caught her stalking him, and she's so charming after the fact that he's like, all right, fine, I'll do your interview, weirdo.
Or do you think that like those are all of Deb's friends are former Survivor cast members? Like, you know, she has 1,756 couches to sleep on, right? There's probably been like 1,007. Like that number's got to be the same, right? I'm starting to figure this out.
Within my obviously small circle of people, if I had to nominate the most interesting woman alive, it's definitely Deb Loftus for me. So I wouldn't be surprised if her friends are exclusively people that have been on Survivor Island.
She only knows survivors. That's it. That changes everything. I don't know.
Is there a deeper metaphor there?
Could you imagine Aaron Iceman on Survivor Island?
Yes.
Yes,
I could.
Of course you could imagine it. Like, somehow things are blowing up in burning flames of fire, and like he's just sitting there like smoking a cigarette.
Cool breeze.
Like, oh, brilliant.
Everybody else is starving, just wasting away, and just like no hope.
He's eating.
He's on the beach singing opera.
He's got like a giant turkey leg.
It's terrible.
Eating opera. Everything's in flames behind him. Aaron Iceman. Beautiful. Well,
Aaron Iceman.
Back to Jonathan Penner. Thank you so much. Great story. That sucks to get fired in 2 days, but it obviously worked out. It worked out for him. He's been nominated for an Oscar.
But let's say you're out there listening to the show, and maybe you've gotten fired from one, perhaps two jobs. Lift your spirits and go see Bye Bye Man. Do Jonathan Penner a solid. Man poured his heart, soul, sweat and tears into the film, go check it out.
Written,
Improve
produced,
your day.
and acted
Know that the
in?
guy that made that was also fired from 2 jobs in one day, and now he's got a film with a global release.
And not only that, but his exclusive story was on 86 Charles. Wow. Shout out to Jonathan Pender. Thank you so much. Thank you to Deb for collecting these amazing stories. They're getting better and better each week. Thank you so much. Jesse McIntosh, did you see the tweet he put out today? He is in for the Robert Sarver mission we're on. He's going to
I didn't
seduce.
see the tweet. I gotta go check it out.
He's going to seduce Robert Sarver. We'll get into this. If you
Yes.
want to know more, listen to our other
Well-
pod, Failed Athletes Perspectives. That's where we cut the sports out of 86 Charles and put it in its own show. What were you going to say?
He couldn't help but seduce him. It's not like he's willing to. I mean, if they're in the room together, Jesse's gonna do what Jesse does.
He's willing to...
He is a born seducer.
He's willing to serve him. You know what I'm saying? He will come to his
Gotcha.
table and
Gotcha.
serve him. You
I
know,
gotcha.
that's what he did with Donald Sterling. So, and it wasn't long after that, Donald Sterling out of the league. Actually, it was before that, right?
He was after that, but whatever.
All right. Either way, thank you so much, John. Who else we got a shout out to?
There was somebody I wanted to shout out, and I totally forget now. So I got nothing.
Oh, brilliant,
Got
John.
nothing.
Shout out to whoever the hell he's shouting out to. Great work.
Yeah.
John, where can the people
There's somebody,
find us?
whoever, if somebody got a warm feeling, that was me wanting to give you a shout out, and I forgot.
That's
So
great.
that's to you.
John, where can the people find us? That's enough of whatever you're saying.
Well, you gotta start, and maybe even finish at 86charles.com.
That's 86charles.com. You can find us on the Instagrams and the Twitters at Company Blaster. Send us a message, send us a tweet, send us a story.
Anything.
Lots.
A
Send
GIF,
us,
a meme.
Send us whatever you like, really.
Anything.
We're on Tumblr. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Stitcher. We're on iTunes. We're pretty much everywhere. Also, our new, we just split it up. It's not really a new podcast. It's part of this old podcast.
It is a new podcast, though.
But we're doing it standalone, so the sports freaks can listen to the sports freaks, and the anti-sports freaks don't have to listen to us talk about sports, except when we bring up Robert Sarver and Jesse's beautiful abs in a podcast together, of course, right? But that's not sports. That's just beautiful man attraction and beautiful abs. There's nothing wrong with that,
I mean,
right?
look, there's always going to be crossover. We can't help that.
Yeah. These two worlds coexist, even though they're separate pods. Whoa. Just blew my own mind, John. How can the people help us out, John?
Well, if you're going, I mean, if you do any kind of shopping, as most of you do, online, you want to go to Amazon.com. Right before you do that, go to 86charles.com. You're going to see an Amazon link. Click on that. You don't have to do anything different beyond that. You do your shopping, your browsing, your whatever you're doing, everything you purchase, we get just an itty bitty little chunk of that.
Do you know
Keeps
that
the lights on?
Do you know that you can rent books on Amazon now? Your
I
brothers.
didn't. Well, I did find out very recently that is an option. Yes.
Your brother Rick's out there renting books on Amazon. You can rent
I
books.
know.
That's amazing. I don't know if we get a
The
cut.
big
but
brain on Rick.
Rick, you reader. He's been reading a lot.
Well, he's in school. I don't know what he does in school, but he's in there.
All he does is send me links about pot and reading. He's reading and smoking
I just get
pot.
Trump trolled all day. Trump trolled by that guy.
Trump trolled.
Trump trolled.
I
His
love
buddy his buddy Steven gets it far worse than I do.
Oh, well, I hope.
But yeah, Rick is a Trump troller, and I think Rick is an undercover Trumper.
Yeah. How do you sniff those out? Can you tell? What's a good sign?
Well, it's you know what they say. There's a little truth in every joke. Well, when you make 9,200 Trump jokes that are all pro-Trump, I gotta feel like you're a little bit of a Trumper.
Well, when you're his brother and you're a lefty, you know, you live in California, you're an easy target, though. He's just trying to get under your skin.
Well, and I get that. But I still think that he's an undercover Trumper.
All right, let's keep our eye out.
I don't think that maybe politically he doesn't align, and hopefully he doesn't agree with the racism. But I think that he's fine with him being in office. I don't think that it really bothers him. I think he finds it funny, even though he has children and responsibilities.
That might be true, but I think he finds it even funnier to post it on your wall because he thinks you might. Get
Oh, I'm
upset
sure
by
of
it.
that.
Yeah,
I'm sure of that.
That's the whole. He's a troll. He's a troll. You're a troll, Rick. We love you. Keep it coming. Keep trolling, brah.
It's very presidential of him in terms of his trolling.
Exactly. Troll both sides of the fence.
I would
please.
vote for Rick since no one has to be qualified to be president anymore.
Yeah,
I
it
would
doesn't
totally
matter.
vote for Rick.
I mean, we all know Kanye's going to win in 2020, so I don't think Rick has a chance.
Nah, he blew it.
Sorry, Rick.
He had a meltdown.
He is a meltdown. What are you talking about? Let's 86 something,
True.
John. What are we 86ing?
We're 86ing the phrase "I'm so over." ... You don't get to say it like I don't. People say it like it means something. Like, oh, you're over it? Okay, well then you don't have to do it anymore. Okay. And you can't be at work for 17 minutes and say you're over it.
John, I'm so over beast mode. I'm back in yeast mode. Look what you did to me.
I'm never over beast mode.
The new boy in the neighborhood lives downstairs and it's understood. He's there just to take good care of me, like he's one of the family.